Welcome to 177th episode of Gorilla Radio. Had some technical difficulties, but we're here. So, we're going to talk more state wrestling. I did have all the weights in the preview, and we had technical difficulties. So, we have 6 weights to go over. There was some heat earlier in the week, but it seems like some stuff died down, so nothing too crazy other than tickets. So tickets are going back on sale at 10 a.m. Central, 11 Eastern, and sounds like we broke the Ticketmaster again. So
yeah, Indiana wrestling coming up, man. Got a rabid fan base.
Yes.
Breaking the IndianaMat forum held up better than Ticketmaster because it was getting a ton of traffic today.
Yes, it was. And our Facebook page is getting lots of heat too, so that's good, I guess. So it's good for traffic, I guess. But we broke Ticketmaster. I don't know exactly what happened. I can suspect a couple things, but basically what I can kind of imagine possibly is that some people were in single session, some were on all session, and everyone was choosing the same seats, and it probably just kind of crashed it. So I don't know what's going on with that. I can just say that it's very interesting, and we will, hopefully everyone can get their tickets tomorrow, and they fix whatever they broke. So.
It sounds like if you want to come check us out live at Chasers tomorrow, we're not going to crash the website for that.
Yes, no, we're not.
Maybe if you don't get there live and listen. But what's up, Eric? Yeah, I think that's gonna be pretty cool. I know a lot of people are making that trip down tomorrow. Yeah. You're going down tomorrow, right?
Yes, I will be down there tomorrow. See if we can get our comments in here. I'll be leaving tomorrow around noon. Man, I don't see anything.
I'm gonna go.
Gotta get our
we'll get
comments
a cut color over here, trying to get it faded up, look good for the show.
Yeah, we're gonna. I'm leaving tomorrow around noon, and so but hopefully everyone gets their tickets.
There, right?
What do you say?
So everyone's gonna be there. It sounds like us, you and I, Howie, Dane, Caleb, Triple B,
Rex.
So a bunch of people with that talk on the internet and do rankings and stuff. So it'll be a good time.
Yep.
Dustin wants to do an air your grievance section.
Yes, he is.
We're gonna hand the mic out.
Yes, air your grievances.
So I mean, if you're in Evansville already, I hope that you're not gonna air your grievance that we had to travel all the way to Evansville.
That. Yes.
I'm a half full type of person. Once I'm there, it's go time. We're gonna have a good time. I think it's gonna be a good week. But I think. Just kind of talking with people, it sounds like, from the first show, sounds like everyone really liked the first part of this preview.
Yeah.
But I think we talked about it some, like, it's just a wide open state weekend. There's so much parity in the brackets that you're not really going to know what's going to happen. So I think that makes for a better state finals,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a fun state finals, and I think I posted I ran the numbers. Basically, if you are ranked, state ranking trumps semi-state ranking. If they're both unranked, we went to semi-state ranking. And then if neither of them, if they were tied or whatever, went through winning based on winning percentage. And I posted the scores, so that's that's the projected scores if the higher ranked guy wins at every match. So
what do they call that in baseball? The PECOTA? Those are the PECOTA rankings.
Yeah.
You still got to go out there and play them. But I think, it's going to be exciting. Who's the leader? I haven't seen it. Who's the leader in the clubhouse right now?
It's Crown Point. I did do a graphic, so hopefully people will get very angry about it. Crown Point, they have, let's see, where's the post? They had 161 points. So Brownsburg 126, Center Grove 115, and then Warren is fourth with 84.
Pretty exciting. That's a pretty group.
Could possibly have 3 teams over 100 points again, which is kind of crazy. So,
Yeah, it's been a crazy week. Like the rumor mill flying around. I don't know, like if I felt like as many rumors kind of going like this week as it's been, right? Like I mean, it's kind of started Sunday. We started hearing a little bit of different stuff, and just it's kind of buzzed up during the week. But I don't think any of those rumors are going to come true.
yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Sounds like Brett Smith just scored 100 tickets, so I'm sure on Vivid Seats. So I'm sure those are nice and cheap. So
Yep. So he said if you want to get those tickets, you got to sign a lifetime contract to come work at the farm, right?
yes,
Yes. Come bale hay, boys.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. I don't know what it's like I said a minute ago. It's just it's a very interesting dynamic of everything getting with us crashing the website there. So
two times that happened the last time too, right?
Yeah, that happened in 2022ish when they were on the Pacers website and that crashed because So there's tickets on StubHub. Oh, jeez.
I bet. I don't know, man. I wouldn't trust anything that I'm buying there. I think, and there's still tickets available, right?
Yeah, there'll be tickets available, and it's a crazy, it's crazy that I don't know a better way of doing it, but I hopefully they can figure out what the problem is. I think they need to just basically go, Wednesday is all session tickets. Thursday it'll open up to single session tickets, and then go from there. Yeah, and as Joe Butler said, crazy they hold bigger events than this all the time. So I don't know. I'd be curious, just as a software developer, what the heck they were doing, what they did, what happened. So what's going on with that? And I'm just baffled. So.
Yeah, I think we just have a really good fan base, and we promoted it pretty well with the site. And there's a lot of really excited wrestling fans coming to Evansville, Indiana, coming up.
Yeah. So
I guess if we're gonna have arm wrestling competition at Chasers.
Yes. So also I wanted to say that we'll give a little props to IHSA. I'm pretty positive from talking to some people that's the only live bracket reveal show for any state, which is pretty cool. Obviously, some states with multiple classes that might take 3-4 hours. I mean, it took us an hour and a half for one. Man, I can imagine talking for 4 or 5 hours, revealing the brackets. That'd be painful. But it's pretty cool. And I asked some people that are a little bit in the know, and I'm like, from different areas, I'm like, do you guys ever know anything like this? I mean, so that's pretty cool to do and be a part of. Number one, to be a part of, but also, pretty neat that what they do with that. So, and I think it's a lot better than them just saying brackets are released at 1:00 and, go to track wrestling, crash track wrestling or IndianaMat.
Well, I think it's a really cool thing because I think you can get together your team and kind of watch it, unfold, right? Yeah. And it's similar to what Dane and those guys have done with the team state thing, where you're getting teams that are on the bubble and they're getting watch parties. They want to see where they're at with the seeds. But I think that that's a really cool thing. And if we're the only ones in the country doing it, that's really cool. Yeah. I think it's really cool that the IHSA is starting to involve IndianaMat a lot more. I know that when they were posting today about the tickets going back on sale, I think they tweeted at IndianaMat too.
Yep. Yeah. No, there's I don't think there's many, really any media entities in Indiana like IndianaMat. I haven't given Robert the hint that my son's really involved in baseball, so if IndianaMat comes along,
that's shout out to Kim.
Yeah, that's Kim's idea.
I guess we should open the show. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
Oh,
all the ladies watching. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's to my daughter, my wife. Today's Kim's birthday. My roommate, not my wife. Yeah. Today's Kim's birthday also. So I know that Joe made a Facebook post and he was like, hey, thanks for letting us use Mike this week for 5 hours of shows.
Yeah.
We did 10 hours of show last week. So
Yeah.
But like, shout out to everyone for happy Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Hopefully,
Happy
you're spending your
Valentine's
Valentine's Day night with us.
Yeah.
Watching maybe at dinner, trying to sneak a couple peeks at the phone.
Yep. That's two sweetest guys in wrestling. I mean, why wouldn't you want to spend it with us?
For real. That's what we heard, man. The nicest guys in wrestling.
Yeah.
So everyone that was one of Valentine's Day, for real. And we made that joke a lot, and there's a lot of people getting disappointed today, right? Yes. You got it. It was real special.
Sorry, honey, I didn't get you tickets. So yep. Valentine's Day is I know. I think Kimmy's probably has accepted that there's a 75% chance there is going to be a girl of radio on her birthday.
Yep. I think so. And it's cool. Like, she's super cool with it, which is like, I know that we've done a lot of these shows, and last week, I know I'm holding out, Sky. I'm holding out. Like, so, but we've done a ton of these, and like last week with the preview shows, like, I think we talked about it a little bit on Friday. It was like, man, we did like 10 hours of like talking, and every show did really well, and I think this one is going to be really good too. We got a lot of, obviously Dustin couldn't be here, and he's officiating on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
But really cool, man. Like the show on Monday, I got a ton of messages about like how good it was, and it's not always like the little things, but like they like the brackets, but they were kind of saying like it was pretty funny and some stuff that we did. So we appreciate everybody coming in tonight.
Yep. So we gonna talk. We have 6 weights to go. 190, 106, 120, 285, 113, and 215. That's how the randomizer did it, Joe Clark. Blame random.org. So any other housekeeping? Meet us at Chasers tomorrow night. We're going to do a pregame show on.
Yeah, man, I'm not really, and I know we said it before, and it's probably going to drive Dane crazy. Love Dane. Dane, if you do the Dane and Rex show, he's very, very organized, like minutes and minute of what they're going to do. We're very random. I think we do a couple times. We'll throw something on a sheet of paper of like, hey, let's hit these things. But at the end of the day, like, it's like, hey, man, let's just go. And I'm hoping that the Chaser show is going to be that way. I'm sure we can answer questions from the crowd if you want. I think the longer the show goes, and the more fun we're having, like, it'd probably be a little bit more pre-show than regular show. So we expect, hopefully we see a lot of people, you guys there, especially being in town. It'd be a good time. But if you don't come, I'm sure we'll have something. We can probably stream it live or something. Maybe.
I think we're gonna try to stream it live as long as we can get internet and stuff. So, so we're gonna try to stream it live, and of course I broke my streaming software tonight, so we'll figure that out. We'll stream it live. I assume maybe an hour-ish. I don't know, and then we'll have some fun and hang out with a bunch of awesome wrestling fans. So.
I think we're going to make everyone put on a name tag with their screen name on there,
yes,
so we can start figuring out some who these people are.
I'm Dog Pound Red, just so you guys know.
Yeah, that's what I heard. What did you say? You said you're going to put on Team Garcia. I said, I knew it, man.
Jeez, I'm going to have like 6 name tags. It's going to be like those badges that go all the way down.
Dude, I was thinking, like, we should get those. We'll put it on. Like, hi, my name is On The Rise 219. It'd be great if you were Dog Pound Red. I don't think so, but hey, I think we've been texting and talking, and then I start getting blown up with like messages because, dude, that guy triggers people like no other, and I think it's great.
Yes,
I think it's great for the page. Like every time someone tells me they hate him, I'm like, cool, just go to the page, right?
Yes, yeah, he's Rookie of the Year, I think, this year. I'm voting him Rookie of the Year. Him or her. You don't know if it's a female. But Johansson. Oh, Cook says Johansson's Dog Pound Red. Uh-oh.
Bro, I know it's not Johansson because Johansson gets so... If Johansson's Dog Pound Red, that would be so wild because he gets so angry.
Cameron sent us a text. Says something... What did he say? He said... Put everyone's IP address on the name tag.
We could do that.
Yes.
We've actually looked at the IP address. Dog Pod Red's a single user, doesn't have a secondary name on there. So
We're just waiting for
because
them
we
to
looked
mess.
at those
They'll mess
before
up.
too.
They'll mess up, and we'll pinpoint them. So, so anyway, yeah. So we have no comments tonight, of course. Yeah.
I got on the phone. So I think and I think for like one of the things too, it's like Kim just got me my Valentine's Day gift.
Ooh,
Got Reese Hearts.
nice.
She's a real one, folks. She's a real one.
Yeah, my my wife. She's very accepting of Valentine's Day being during the busiest time of the year for me. So she fully understands it. But yeah, it's. I to say I don't need a special day to celebrate our love, and that doesn't work.
I say that too, though.
Yeah.
I think, man.
I don't need Hallmark to tell me to say I love you.
I think, did I always tell you, like, man? I feel like when we at the end of the year show, we should always have like a Hall of Fame poster.
Yes.
And I think we've had some really good ones, man. I think we've had some awesome people on the message board over the years. And I think we missed a golden opportunity because I think the forum was like the lifeblood of the site for a long time.
Oh yeah. It's I'd say it's a little bit lower now, but it is still it's been very active this year, so that's good.
Yeah.
So we have to start at 190. There we go. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to talk about 190 to start. I think we're good here. We're just going to go straight fireworks right off the bat. 1, 3, and 4 in the same quarter bracket. And then Keith Miller from Northwood. So Freeman, Panola, Friday night, 2 returning state placers. The winner gets another state placer in Gunnar Henry. And none of them have hit this year because Panola didn't wrestle at their conference. So that's going to be fun.
Just got back from Tomato Bar. Tomato Bar, underrated wings, man. If you guys are in the region, hit up Tomato Bar. They have underrated chicken wings. Sorry.
Anyway, yeah. So, what do you think about this top quarter?
Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes when Vinny Freeman lost a tough one to Kenny Bisping in the semis at semi-state. So I think it's like one of those things with an unseeded semi-state. You don't know how the draws are going to go. Luke Panola lost another back-to-back weeks to Noah Weaver, who's wrestling really well. And Gunnar Henry's just been doing work like the entire year. So I think those 3 in the same quarter is pretty tough. Keith Miller had a really good Al Smith. But that's a pretty tall order on a Friday night. A guy that's been in the semis twice already. And then you have 2 pretty kind of different style of wrestler in Panola and Freeman, right? Panola a little bit like more physical, kind of heavy on the head, and Vinny Freeman real slick. Pretty. His dad knows football pretty well, I think. Maybe if you're not a Notre Dame fan, you don't feel like that. But that should be
maybe if you are a Notre Dame fan, you feel that way.
Yeah, sometimes, right? But that'll be a really good one Friday night, and I know for pick'ems that could be a bracket buster right off the bat because I think both of those guys, either one of them, like in Henry Saturday morning in the quarters, could be a really good matchup.
Yeah,
that's a winnable match. If you lose one like that on Friday night, a guy in the semis, that could throw your pick'ems right out the window.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, you could pick one of those guys, Panola or Freeman, and the other guy could easily run to semis, or honestly, they could run to the finals here. That way,
man, Brownsburg's got some back-to-back weeks, like really tough draws.
Yeah,
I know. I'm gonna guess some stuff on that because I'm from the region and I'm only supposed to rep the region, but I thought semi-state they had some really tough draws, and I think they've had some really tough quarters here.
Mm-hmm. So going down, you got Elias Kressel, Wabash, only 1 loss on the year. Colin Cassad, Terre Haute South, Colin Wetzel, New Pal, and a sophomore and freshman Alexander Tatum from New Pal. And Tatum and Wetzel wrestled at Team State, with Wetzel winning. So there'll be a little maybe revenge. See how better the freshman is. 2 seniors at the top. That should be a good match. Kressel's wrestling really well right now. And he isn't going to, if he sees his brother win his first match, he's not going to want to be, he's want to keep, doing as well as his younger brother. So I think that's going to be added incentive to win right here. I mean, he's ranked lower, but should be a good one.
Yeah, both Crustles at least wearing W's, right?
Yeah.
So we got that going. Just different. I mean, I don't know. I guess Wabash is black too, right? They have black singlets.
Yeah.
That should be a good one. Calvin Casada, I've been really impressed with him. I think he's had a really good career. Crustles had a really good career. This is his first time making it to state, though, right? I know he's had some tough. Dude, hold on. You got to keep me. I'll be selling soap in the parking lot. We'll be slinging it, man. Let's go. But that's a good quarter bracket. Tatum looked good at semi-state. I think at 190, when you're a freshman, you're making it to the semi-state finals at East Chicago. It's really impressive. Mm-hmm. I know my brother had seen him wrestle some this summer. God bless you, man. And was like, hey, there's this kid at Hooper. He's a tall kid. He's pretty good. I think he's a starting quarterback on their football team also. So I could see him being, 215 next year, just kind of growing into that weight. But that'd be a good one. New Pal and Hobart are going to have a nice rivalry the next couple of years, that 3A bracket, and just kind of seeing what those guys are also doing at, off-season stuff.
Yeah. So next quarter bracket, Kenneth Bisping, who we're talking about, Lowell, his only loss is to Panola, Nathan Schaefer, Newcastle, Noah Terry, Tell City, and Eli Kuhlman from Leo. So that's another good quarter bracket. Bisping really having a real good senior year. I hate to say it's been surprising. I mean, he was a state qualifier 2 years ago at 52. He's had, some success and just kind of really, I just want to say he kind of jumped some levels this year and very impressive, winning a good East Chicago and put himself in a good spot to possibly make it to the semis or further.
Yeah. I know we've talked about in the past. He's a guy that, he sets a strong pace. I thought he could have went 75. I think he was pretty light at IPO. So it was he was in between with 75 and 90, but decided to lift and, just wrestle bigger and focus on, winning. And I think kind of being setting the pace that he does at 190 pounds, he's able to wear a lot of guys out. Mm-hmm. So I think I've been really impressed with him this year. Even the loss to Panola, I thought he wrestled him really tough in the finals of the Al Smith.
Yeah.
Noah Terry, really good. 42-3. I think a lot of his losses are to Gunner, at least two of them, right?
Yes. Yeah, at least two of them are.
And then Eli Coleman, another senior that's been on the cusp a couple of years at Fort Wayne and finally got through in a pretty loaded weight class. I thought 190 was pretty good out of Fort Wayne. 34-2. That'd be a really good Friday night matchup with those guys.
Yeah. That should be good. Coleman's at 190 at Fort Wayne was just absolutely bananas. There are about 12 guys that are actually were pretty darn good and could have all made it through. And, you can run that back this week and you might get 4 different qualifiers. So, Donovan Blair, Wallace C, making his second trip. Caden McConnell making another trip to state after being under the lights last year. Then you got Noah Weaver trying to be Rossville's first state placer, and Trey Dunning from Mishawaka. This is a good, you got 2-5, and I think Weaver's looking real good right now. That's going to be a good potential 2-5 quarter final Saturday morning match.
Caden McConnell coming out as a 3, or is he a 2? As a 2.
Yeah.
A little different than last year, coming in as a 4.
Yeah.
Running his way all the way to the finals, so took a little easier path. But Donovan Blair, 2-time state qualifier now for Wawa C, qualified in 2 different semi-state, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
He pulled the Bo Broadbender, right? Broadbender did 2 at Fort Wayne. Now he's done 2 at East Chicago.
He did
the legend Kevin
one
Whitehead
at Fort
watching.
Wayne, I think he did 1. Fairly certain he did 1. Anyway.
And then, so that'll be a good Friday night. Just kind of tough draw for Blair there. McConnell's really good. Seeing him at 190, I thought that was a really good move for those guys. And then Noah Weaver wrestling really well. Wrestled well this summer. Trey Dunning had a really nice win at the semi-state of punches ticket, being unranked. But I know we've seen him a lot. He had an awesome picture for the site when we were at Al Smith. I don't think he wanted to take it. His hair was looking real wild. But, now it's his trademark. So he'll be back, so get some experience there. And that Friday night matchup be pretty good. But Noah Weaver's wrestling really, really well. I would assume he's the favorite to get Rossville their first state medalist.
Yes, very much so. I heard something about him that he one of like the Purdue assistant coaches or wrestlers was living like in like their garage, like they had like an apartment and stuff, and he'd been training with him in the off season and stuff, and getting a lot better, and that's kind of where he's really kind of come on. So, but obviously he trains hard, works hard, and should be a good, interesting to see him go through the bracket here. So 106.
Let's go. Now we're back at the beginning.
Yep, Peyton Shutley, Ron Colley, sophomore. His one loss is out of the tournament. Joseph Hamilton from Center Grove. Rex Moore, Manchester, took his first loss last week. And then Tejan Newell.
That's what I heard. So I heard that, Newell had really turned the corner. And then at the semi-state, I said, well, maybe it was because we've been calling his name wrong the whole year.
Yeah.
I heard it was Tejan Newell in the finals. A little bit more swag. He's wrestled a little bit more confidence, a little bit more slick. So I apologize. Eric bought soap for me and never even corrected me, man. He's a real gentleman because I've been calling him Tegan the whole year. And when you get to the finals of the semi-state, whatever they call you is what you are, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I think Coach Lorick filled out the finals sheet. Maybe he makes his eyes like a J. I don't know. But I didn't announce the finals. The other announcer did, and he was so excited to hit Tejan Newell. I was like, all right. I texted Eric. I said, dude, I'm sorry, man. I didn't know we've been saying your kid's name wrong the whole year. Dude, it was embarrassing. We're supposed to be the information for Indiana wrestling, bro. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
So
if we're pronouncing your name wrong, give us. I mean, a lot of people have. It's Anthony Popey. It's not. Yeah. If we pronounce it wrong, tell us. We'll try to.
You should have, man. We really should have put that on that, like how to pronounce the name. You should have said Tay John. It looks like a Tegan to me, but no, it was good. Shutley wrestling really well this year. Only loss, like you said, out of the tournament. Joseph Hamilton came down from. Was he a 4 out of the Mooresville Regional also?
He might have been.
Came down from 13. That's a tough Friday night matchup for Joseph Hamilton. I mean, any of the 4 that you're going to get as a champ would have been hard.
There's a place that you can get that information.
The
media
you got
guide.
John Purdy on the cover of the state finals media guide. I know they're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, let's see. Where did Hamilton was second,
fourth at the region.
Fourth.
So, come up, man. Kind of doing it the hard way, having to take out champs. So, it's kind of been his MO the last couple of weeks, right?
Yep. Sorry.
So, I'm sure Coach Swain will have him ready to go. Nice. Rex Moore, returning state qualifier, 35-1. I don't know if him and Tejan have ever wrestled, but Tejan, we kind of said for the season, he had a really good IHPO, and then cut down a weight, just a real tough lineup. You got to kind of get in where you can fit in, right?
Yeah.
And I think now he's starting to adjust to the weight a lot better. It just took a couple months, which is tough. And then that'd be a good Friday night one. I was impressed with Rex Moore last year, so
that might be the 2 tallest 6-pounders in the field.
Yeah,
and and we always talk about this, especially at state, is off the scale, especially these lightweights. You're eyeing that last time you have to make 106, and you're getting excited, and that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, off the scale, because they will. So even though they are starting that second session, they weigh in at like 4:30. That second session starts at 5:30. So there's only that hour weigh-in.
Both those guys might be hitting it pretty hard with the weight, right?
Yeah.
Because I think Moore was up at 20 at some point a little bit this year, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's big. He's big. He took a loss to Ocampo, and I know last year she struggled with can't remember the Yorktown kid's name, but he was big and tall and lanky, and I was wondering if that was gonna pose fits for her. She handled him fairly well, so she passed that test pretty easily. So
both those guys are pretty tough.
Yeah. So that should be interesting. That's going to be an interesting one. Honestly, that's an off the scale type thing that if they don't manage their weight right this week, that could be a very big. That could make or break your season right there. So
yeah.
Going down, Royce Malone, Monrovia, freshman, having a really good season. Caleb Moreau from Indianapolis Lutheran. Good to see them back at state. Only a freshman. So they had a state champ a few years ago. Alonzo Shantea. Is it Shantea, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's what they posted on the page.
Juliana Ocampo. So you got 7 and 11 and a number 6. So that's gonna be a good match. Shantea and Ocampo. Like I said, I mean, the ones that are gonna give her the biggest fits are the stronger kids. And he's a senior. He's cutting some weight. Obviously, he wrestled 13 all last season. So that's gonna be a real good Friday night match. And Ocampo's looking to be the first state placer, possibly the last if it gets sanctioned. So. They're going to close that down. So, getting on the podium would be huge. And, should be good.
What up, man? My guy John Jordan watching, one of our softball dads. He wrestled in Illinois. Congrats to Caleb Morrow. Unranked, man. And Howie didn't have him ranked, I believe, either. He was not on the watch list, I would tell you guys. I did not have him on the watch list. That's a tough one. Royce Malone's really, really good. Was really good coming in. I know there was a lot of hype there. Hype now. Now he's kind of proved that it wasn't all hype.
Yeah.
And that first 3 of Monrovia are really good. But he's a guy that can make a run, possibly to the finals. I mean, he's a guy that possibly could win it, I know he had a match with Boyd at Mooresville. It was pretty good. So when they were complaining about the seedings at Mooresville and they didn't like that he was the 6th seed, they're probably right.
Yeah.
Chantea and Ocampo, I mean, and obviously you can speak to it better than almost anybody, and you have firsthand experience. There's going to be a whole arena, and it's, just kind of talking to some people that have been there, it's going to be loud. And the ceiling's lower, it's going to be echoing. You had Hayden Lee and Kayla Miracle Friday night. And it was anytime Hayden went to a hip, place was erupting.
Yes.
And it's gonna be real similar. I see Ryan Parrish trying to give me a Contenders hoodie, man. That's what I'm trying to do. Ryan Parrish checking in. But Chantea is really strong. He's really good on top, so that'll be a good matchup. It might benefit Ocampo that she's been there twice, so maybe the nerves don't get her. Mm-hmm. And this is his first trip. I think that there's a lot of that. But I know that Coach Smith is going to have him ready to go. Plymouth has done a really good job.
Yeah,
I expect that match to be one of the louder matches Friday night, just because I think that a lot of people are aware that it's probably going to get sanctioned. And once it gets sanctioned, it's going to be boys division and then girls division, I think. And this might be the last shot to get a female placer in Indiana, which is pretty impressive. It's single class. And I think there's going to be, how many people are in there? 10,000?
Yeah.
7,000?
9,500, 10,000.
I mean, probably if there's 9,500, 9,000 people might be behind her. Yeah. You may even look over and see some of the Plymouth guys, cheering under their breath. So, yeah. And it's not an easy spot. I mean, you were on it, Joe. How did you feel when you were in the corner?
I have a picture, it was, when rewind back to semi-state when we won, or when Hayden won, not we. I sat in the corner, and you saw that she was 4th, and it's I know it. And that's just pessimistic coaching in you. We're drawing that. We're drawing her, and did. And so then got a hold of Hayden and said, hey, let's have a good week. Let's not focus on this. Let's get focused. And the main thing is with him, he was very mentally tough. He was able to, and I honestly, of all the kids I've coached a few, some very good ones. He's probably the most mentally tough one. And if I have to put that on one kid, he's probably the one I'm thinking of first. And he was able just to block out all everything. I mean, kids were at school. Oh, you're wrestling a girl. Oh, you're wrestling a girl. And he's like, yeah, she's good. It's not just dating a girl.
And she's gone on and Hayden was really good too. Yeah. She's gone on to prove that she's one of the best female competitors in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And so is Juliana. And like I said, it's gonna be a smaller arena, more a louder arena. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be rowdy. That's gonna be a real rowdy match. And I think if she gets going early, if she gets takedown, that place is gonna go nuts. You're gonna feel the arena shaking. Yeah. And like I said, I think Coach Smith's going to have him ready to go. I've been really impressed with Chantia the entire year. I thought Noel wrestled him really well. I talked with Eric a little bit Friday, and he said they were feeling really good. I know Chantia had majored him at Al Smith, I believe, or it was close to a major. Mm-hmm. And that's one of his only losses. So you just never know how. We used to say it, and I'm not saying it about these guys, but we used to say, like, you watch the Parade of Champions, and you can see, like, who's ready and who's, like, happy to be there. And I think more than anything, you hope that, like, those guys are not just be happy to be there, but you'll see it in the way they walk.
Yeah. Like,
you'll see people, like, rubberneck and, just, like, massive, like, and you'll see people that are, like, hey, I'm ready to roll. They'll be, like, walking this thing with their headgear, like, I'm focused. It's time to go.
Yeah, they're actually they're trying to get out of the Parade of Champions. They're just like, this is stupid. I want to be out of here. I gotta go get warmed up, and you'll see it. And then you see it in one of the guys that, like, maybe you don't see very often, and you see them doing that. Like, oh crap, I picked them to win, didn't I?
Oh yeah.
I hope they can. I hope they can flip a switch real quick because they're coming up in 3 matches.
Oh yeah, but and you see people that have nerves.
Yeah.
Did I talk about it? And congratulations! Shout out to Eric McGill getting another NCAA championship as an official.
Yes.
Represent Indiana with some pride. But, like, I remember talking to Eric after, his freshman year. He didn't give a point to the state championship match, and we'd seen him, like, he was getting ready to go out there, and he was warming up there before, like, they did the announcements, and he looked terrified. Mm-hmm. And he was like, yeah, like, I just, I knew, like, that was a moment I built up my whole life, and once I got there, I was nervous. Mm-hmm. And you just don't know who's going to have that. And that's, like, literally one of the best to do it in Indiana. Like, 2-time champ, 1-time runner-up, and lost a year to injury. But so it'll be interesting. I think with the circumstances, like, I think it's going to be sanctioned next year. It sounds like it's heading that direction. I think people are going to know, like, and obviously we're going to talk about Heather too, also. But it'll be that wouldn't be a rowdy match. There's going to be a lot of and they could be wrestling at the same time. So, like, you might have it be. I think they talked about that in their, like, documentary, that they looked over and they were, like, wrestling at the same time looking at the score. Yeah. And this will be 2 years in a row where Ocampo's kind of been the favorite positioning-wise. She was runner-up last year. Mm-hmm. She lost to Matt Meyer. She's the runner-up this year. So.
Yep. Last half bracket, Jensen Boyd, Delta having a real good year. First time really seeing them. I saw them a little bit at IPO, but I was kind of trying to work. Grant Holloway, another freshman from Rochester. That should be a good match. Mason Gels, I think is what they pronunciation said, and Heather Kroll. So another one. I guess I didn't realize. I thought Gels was ranked higher than Kroll, but Kroll was ranked higher than him. So that should be another good one right there. I mean, if your rankings hold true, that means we might have 2 state placers.
Yeah. And I'll start with the first part. Jensen's wrestled really well the entire year. Wrestled well at IPO. Kind of like one of the hiccups in the system. Him and Mason being on the same side. That was a really good match at the IPO. He's had a ton of national success. I think he's really good. I think Jensen Boyd's really good. Shout out to Grant Holloway at Rochester. I know he had a knee injury and he worked himself back and ended up qualifying for state at Chicago. So I'm happy for him because I think there was a point in the season I think they thought he was going to be out. Like, I thought he was done. Mm-hmm. Goals and Crawl, that's going to be a good Friday night when Heather took her first loss at the semi-state. Who did she lose to? Shutley? And it was in the semis, right?
Yeah. If only we could find it.
It was either Shutley or
it was Shutley. 14-1.
So tough. I mean, Shutley's good. I'm not, like, that's not to like say, like, I mean, Shutley could probably, he's in the contention to win the bracket, you know?
Yeah.
She's been there, so I don't know if it's going to be. I think the more experience you have in those areas, when you're at state, when you're wrestling national events. I know talking to some of the guys, some of the incoming freshmen, like, yeah, this crowd's huge, but so is Tulsa. Like, so is, whatever. And she's wrestled on the big stage. She's done well at Fargo. She's been there. It's not like I hope that the idea that, like, hey, this might be my last chance to qualify or to become a medalist, I hope that doesn't come into it. But Goals is really good also.
Yeah.
What was it?
Gels
is really good also. Yeah. Was behind Rio last year. Came in, he's 36-5. Having a really solid sophomore year. I know That'll be a good one Friday night. So I think if both those girls are on the match at the same time, I think it's going to be nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I think it could be really electric in that building starting off.
Yeah,
that's
like
second session.
That's extra. Yeah, you're going to want to get back to your seat. And Curl, I mean, she was a world bronze medalist this year, so she's wrestled on those stages, and she's obviously proven that she's pretty darn good. So that'll be fun. Glad I don't have to sit in the opposite corner again.
Bro, I don't think I ever felt like growing up. I never felt like, hey man, I'm gonna be cheering for girls over guys ever, right? Like I wasn't like that guy. I was never that guy. But being a dad of like daughters, like I think it means a little bit more when you see that. Like that's pretty awesome. And obviously you have a daughter too.
Yeah.
It just like I find myself like cheering a little bit harder for them, and not because they're girls, just because of like what it means to do that and how hard it is. Like both of us didn't qualify for state. They've been there multiple times now. And they're pretty good, like not only like at the state level in Indiana, but the national level. Like you'll find them in a lot of national rankings.
Yep. And then going down, you got John Bismeyer, Talon Jessup, Mason Jones versus Charlie Fleshman from Central Noble. So it should be some good matches. I know Fleshman, I reffed one of his middle school matches. I want to say he was an 8th grader. I'm pretty positive he was an 8th grader at that time. He might have been 7th grade, but he wasn't very good.
Ouch.
He was not very good. If you'd have told me in a couple years he was going to be qualifying for state, I would have not believed you. So congrats to him. And that's good. He's only a sophomore, and he looks like a wrestler now. And I just remember he reffed a match where he was tied up, and the kids are going back and forth, and he locked hands late, and just when you're facing each other, he went around and was like, oh, I do not want to call this. I don't want to call this. So this is a crazy match, but he's really improved, and he's one, obviously qualifying for state. He's got a tough draw there, but getting that experience, and he still has 2 more years, so that could be interesting to see how. I mean, he's going to continue to get better. I know he puts a lot of time in at the fort, so just wanted to kind of give a little shout out to a local person, but I was telling some people about it. I'm like, he was not very good. He was not very good. I was like, but 2 years later, I'm pretty positive he was an 8th grader. So it was like 2 years later, and now he's doing pretty good, doing real well.
Yeah, he was unranked, but he was on the watch list. He's had a good year. I mean, just kind of looking at his results, I haven't seen him. I don't have the personal background story that you have with him.
You haven't reffed any of his middle school matches?
I didn't ref any of his middle school matches, but I have seen Mason a good amount this year. One of the nicest kids in the state. He's super nice. He looked awesome at East Chicago. I think he pinned Newell in the final. He's just been on fire, man. He moves well. I know we talked about that a little bit with Luke Reed. He's a jiu-jitsu kid, rolls really well. And I think when he's wrestling his best, he's kind of just rolling in and out of positions. And being a senior at 106, I think gives him a pretty good advantage of being strong. But I like to see him do well. And I think Lake Central always has a couple guys that they can run into the semis. And him and Boyd was a really good match at IPO. Boyd with the last-second throw to kind of win it. I don't know how much whatever you count last second. I think it was like last 30 seconds. But it'll be interesting to see who made the adjustments in that if that ends up being the match. But Jessup and Bismeyer, they wrestled this year. I believe Jessup won. Jessup's 3 losses. Mason Jones in the final to Al Smith, and then 2 to Royce Malone. So Jessup's going to be right in the mix also. Weird. Remember when we did Al Smith and they pulled Jessup out of the bracket and we almost started and then we had to go back and – Coop's like, hey, our guy didn't get pulled out of the bracket. So we had to go back and redo it all, and we were waiting, and no one complained, I don't think. Everyone was super happy just to be waiting for us to start wrestling.
Yep. So we'll go down to the 120 is our next weight of choice. We're very interesting top half bracket. A lot of familiar names. Gavin Gendris, Tony Kessinger, from Floyd Central, freshman Tommy Frazier and Henry Ferrote. So, very familiar Belmont name, very familiar Zionsville name, familiar Floyd Central name. Does Gendris have any Crown Point lineage that was good? Or
I believe his related to Mike Rowe, the old official.
Okay.
Like, but I don't think he's a Crown Point guy. I don't know where Mike wrestled at.
So yeah, interesting to see all those names. But yeah, Gendris has really turned it on since basically the Iron Man, and looking really good.
I blame Joe Caprino for saying no, because you said he needed to be meaner, and yes. I guess I told those guys and they went that way, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Frazier and Farrell Friday night. Shout out to Henry Ford. He spent some time in the rankings. He had a reversal loss to get to state, right? Like he had a guy that had beat him. Yeah. He used some of that Belmont magic from the Decatur Daily.
Yes.
So then Frazier Farrell to be a good Friday night match. Frazier a senior, Farrell a freshman. Tommy Frazier real solid. We did not get to see him at the Al Smith. Tony Kissinger, big cradle kid, can pin a lot of guys. Like he's pretty solid. Like if he gets on top, there's a good chance he can, get a cradle and lock it up. I know he wrestled a lot of guys real tough this summer. Gavin Gendris, probably one of the guys I think is wrestling the best in the state right now. Mm-hmm. And it's like a variety of attacks. It looks like he's out there drilling. I think he's really turned a corner with John Morrison and those guys, working with those Morrison and Howe a bunch, and just really looking really good. He looked really good at semi-state, and he's killed. I think he's killed almost everybody. I'd be willing to bet he has a bunch of bonus or falls. So, and Joey said he's a really good role model for the team and leader. So I see him in a lot of those like pictures where I know that a lot of those guys are going to church now, and a lot of those guys are going out to dinner, and he's right there front and center.
Yeah, Gavin's a good kid, and definitely good to see him. He didn't look as good as he has in the past at like Iron Man. Not like he had a bad tournament, but I was like, I expected maybe a couple more wins, or at least a win or two more, type of thing. And it's like, it just doesn't look like he's clicking. And then, did a little bit better the next week. And then Al Smith, he really turned it on. And then after Al Smith, he just kept going.
Yeah.
So,
and I think I'd asked you, because they were all pretty close. And I know they were like, it was like a toss up. Like he had beat Preston Haynes at IPO, and Preston had beat him at state. LaRocca was the defending champ, and LaRocca was one at that time. And I think I even asked you, like, hey, like those guys are all pretty close. Like, what'd you think? He's like, I would keep LaRocca at one still. And I think they all lost in the same round. Mm-hmm. And like he came back and he's just been on fire, man. He looks as close to a lock as I would say. Like no one's ever a lock. I mean, I would think maybe Creases is close to a lock, but like Hunter May closes the gap pretty well. But I think like he's wrestling at as high a level as anybody. And I think that Crown Point's gonna look for him to get big points. And I think they're going to look for him to get a lot of bonus points. I think he's going to get points plus, advances points plus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, speaking of locks and stuff, I did make up a confidence pick state champion pick 'em. So check that out if you want to do confidence.
Took it from my guy. Did you call it the X Card Classic?
No, I probably should, shouldn't I? Probably has that copyrighted.
Probably.
So. Next quarter bracket, Charlie Rocca, returning state champion, ranked number 5. That's kind of scary. Adrian Origel from North Newton. Shout out to, I don't know what the Newtons. Spartans. Kay Jackson Delta and Jet McGuire, Greenfield Central. So 2 sophomores battling out for a state medal. That should be a good one, 14-15.
Conference, right? Those guys are in the same conference?
Yes. And McGuire has won, obviously, due to the ranking. I think he's won twice.
Yeah. Adrian Origel, shout out to North Newton. I know they don't get a ton of state qualifiers. It's probably been a little bit of time in between state qualifiers for those guys.
I can tell you exactly, but yes.
I don't want to say like 20 years, but probably like a handful. But that's a tall order Friday night. Charlie Rocca. I thought he really turned around the state tournament last year. Really turned the corner. Got on a roll and just started winning. He's kind of on the same thing this year. I know he reversed the loss at the semi-state. So I'm sure a lot of people are writing that LaRocca Gendris down for the semifinal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rock Hill said 2006.
North Newton has never had a state placer. Their last qualifier was 2006, so it's been 18 years.
Yeah, so
he wasn't even alive, most likely.
maybe.
Or right around that
so
time.
McGuire Jackson would be a good one Friday night. I think one of the best things Coach Holden did was like, hey, I have Jet like cutting a ton of weight. Like I know he's at 6 last year. I believe he missed weight. I had made the comment if he was going to go to 13, he's like, yeah, we're done cutting weight with Jet. And when he's wrestling his best, he's just out there going, and he's had a really good season. So that'll be a good Friday night one. I think a lot of people are looking at La Rocca Gendris semifinal, but I wouldn't look past Jet McGuire there either.
Bottom half bracket. So we got Tanner Tishner, Western, Richard Rogers, Franklin Central, Ty Henderson, Evansville, Modern Day, and Cameron Woods, Portage, and 3 ranked guys. But Cameron Woods has been wrestling really well. Had to take out a guy with a state medal to make it to state, so that's one you can't overlook. And got a guy that's kind of playing with house money. That's a scary Friday night match.
Yeah, he was in the rankings a bunch this year, and then he ended up falling out. I actually think he was like 26. He was like right on the outside. And sometimes you want to look at that. You don't want to rank too many guys from the same semi-state just because there's only going to get so many guys through. He's wrestling really well. I seen him at the regional. I seen him at the semi-state. It looks like he's believing in his offense, which I think is one of the biggest things. Like once you start wrestling with confidence, that's huge. He had an awesome match first round of semi-state with Max Quiros, a freshman from Chesterton. It was 24-18 or 24-20. Woods got up really early, and then Quiros started coming back, and it was just a back and forth battle. And you let those guys wrestle, they might have put up 50 points. Like they're out there. Some guys in these brackets, they put up 50 points the whole year.
Yeah.
And they probably put up 50 points in a match, which is pretty impressive. Then he had a really good win over Aiden Dollinger, a guy that had beat him in the past. So he's wrestling really well. He beat Seth Aubin 2 weeks before sectionals. So that'll be an interesting one, but tough quarter bracket. Tishner, Rogers, Friday night will be a tough one. Rogers taking 4th there. Tishner coming down from 26. The quarterfinals, Tishner's poison, right? Lost in the quarters last year. I'm sure for Tishner, he's happy that he's not seeing Eddie Goss. Yeah. I think Eddie Goss has kind of had his number at the state finals. Ty Henderson having a really good season. Probably one of the best. Probably had one of the best team states, and he's going to have a whole bunch of people cheering for Evansville Mater Dei in that gym, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We talked about the females getting a bunch of hype when they're out there. I'm guessing the Mater Dei guys are going to have a good amount of people there cheering for them.
Yeah, Coach Gable said Henderson's a real good kid and stuff, and he had him in class and really likes him. And he said he obviously the injury to fault and stuff, and as someone that has a very big vested interest in Mater Dei wrestling and a kid, I'm sure his heart just is like, oh no, please don't. Yeah, no one wants to win that. No one wants to lose that way or win that way, as we talked about in the first one. But I'm sure you're just sitting there like, oh, geez, that kind of just makes you sick. So, but yeah, he's wrestling well. That'll be a good possible quarterfinal match there. Last quarter bracket.
If you're gonna be there, man, circle that one. Cam Wood likes to put up points, and Ty Anderson's not afraid to put up points either. So that could be a real good one. You guys want to watch some offense? If you guys are into Pac-12 football, no defense, all offense. I don't know. Those guys are defenders too.
Yeah. So yeah, that could be a good one. South Auburn, Isaac Ash, number 2 and 7. Chase Yant Fishers versus Hunter Douglas Norwell. Douglas, I'm pretty positive he was in the rankings a little bit last year. I think he was in the rankings this year. Kind of had an injury, didn't get a lot of good matches, and ends up turning it on towards the end of the year and punches his ticket to state. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, not a bad season for Hunter Douglas. He's wrestling better now as the season went on, like result wise. Yant spent a bunch of time at 26. I think he took 2 of his losses at 26, maybe 1 at 32. But coming down to 20 is going to be pretty good there. I know, that was one of the things I had asked him too. Like, they told me he was going to be at 20, and I was like, hey, man, I seen you took a loss at 32. You still coming to 20 here? And I said that's the plan. Auburn and Ash going to be a good one Friday night. They got 2. Auburn's been there twice. I don't know. It says sophomore on the bracket, but He was a qualifier as a freshman, 8th placer last year. He's wrestling well, just stays in good position. And Ash was a state semifinalist last year. So 2 medals going at it Friday night.
Yeah, Auburn got an Olympic red shirt per Johansson. Now I did update the brackets. That's how it is on track. So he said, he's like, what? I think he sent it to me. I go, yeah, he got an Olympic red shirt, I thought. So, yeah. So I have this one is updated. I did update these ones. So anyway, yes. So that should be a good one. We will go to, I believe it is 285 is next. 285. Joe Clark's still here? Calling Joe Clark. Joe Clark.
Someone pays Joe Clark. We're at 285.
Yeah. We're going to, I mean, you better hurry up. Do we need to go for the second quarter bracket just so that we can wait till we talk about Paul or what? Oh, he's here. Okay, good. Okay, we're good. He's been waiting for like 6 hours. He's like that one. I've been waiting. Okay, Paul Clark, returning third place finisher. Only losses are out of state. James Hartleroad, Fargo Greco champion. That could be an interesting match. Hartleroad, a sophomore, doesn't have much to lose. He can get after Paul. And, he's kind of had an up and down season, kind of as you would expect for a sophomore at heavyweight. He's had some good wins, but then some head-scratching losses and all that kind of stuff. So, but obviously he's wrestled on a big stage and done pretty well. So that could be interesting to see. Paris Green, Warren Central, and Oluwabenga or Zadare. Oluwabenga. I believe I got that right. Or Big Joe. We can call him Big Joe. Speaking of Paris Green, I think he's had I think he is on the Olympic. I think he's got 6 COVID years and stuff. I swear he wrestled in 2012. Because he's been in the rankings since he was a freshman, I think.
Yeah, I think we said it on the Newscastle preview. We did not get to see Paris Green at Al Smith, but he's a guy. If you go and look at his results, he does some weird losses, but he has some wins where he's in summer or off season stuff where he beats some really good guys and he can wrestle with anybody. So when he's on, he's unbelievable. But he's not always on. 19-7. That'll be a good one. Big Joe. They don't call him Big Joe because he's a little guy, right? It's not like the old tiny. Real good athlete. I know that's a guy last year that I know Brewer was like, hey, you got to keep an eye on this guy. He's going to be really good. So I was like, all right, man. I did not have him in the rankings as Oluwabenga, Ozardari. I only had him as Joseph.
Yes.
But I like that I'm excited to hear the announcer run with that one, right?
Yeah. I guess, he goes, when I was talking to Coach Johns, we actually had to call, I texted him, I said, hey, how do we pronounce this? So we put him on speakerphone and, the one guy, he was like, okay, I got it. And so I'm like, good, because I don't. And so he was like, yeah, when he first met him, he's like, how do I pronounce your name? Just call me Joe. So they called him Big Joe. And then for state, he's like, do you want me to put the government name on there? He's like, yeah. And so now, number one, it screwed up all my ranking brackets because everything's based on looking for Joseph Ozadore. So now I know that's one. LT Hawkins is another. Sessa is one because all of a sudden he goes by Santonio Sessa.
Santonio.
So, but yeah. So yeah, he's, and like you said, we got the, heads up to kind of keep an eye on him last year. Kind of had some mixed results, and then put it together for the postseason run right here, and in a pretty solid spot. And obviously, that should be a good Friday night match.
Only been wrestling for a year and a half per Mark Johns. That's pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the top quarter bracket there, James Hartleroad, you already said he had so much success this summer, and Paul Clark. Paul Clark puts himself in some spots sometimes where it's you want to give these coaches an all-star, huh? He's like, oh, you like Greco? Cool, I like to throw too. We got to see him at, I think last year at Ironman, right?
Yeah.
He's winning. He's like, you know what I want to do? I'm beating a nationally ranked guy. Lat drop right to my back. We seen it on Saturday at the East Chicago semi-state. And I think Hawkins has a couple more gray hairs for it. I was 3-1. I'm beating Brady back, just cruising. You know what I want to do? toss the legs in and get high, put to my back. Like, I don't know if that's what he said for real, but man, he's not afraid to scramble with some people, right?
No. I think he likes to challenge himself. He definitely likes to challenge himself and like, hey, I want to see how high I can get on these legs and not give up a reversal. You know?
Gavin Gendris said Paul Clark's a lightweight that enjoys PBJs too much. Hey, I believe that because he does some stuff sometimes, and I'm like, bro. And I know he's wrestled one of my old coaches, Coach Begley, and I'm like, I know Coach Begley's not telling you to go out there and lat drop people and like trying to like get high with the legs. Yeah, he's got his dad's out there probably losing some hair, like getting stressed out. But he makes it exciting. It was an exciting match in the finals of semi-state, and for about 5 minutes and 30 seconds, it was not that exciting. And then to go into rideouts, it was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So been there twice. I thought he was right there for a state title last year. Had a really good match with Leighton Jones in the semis. So he's going to be the Crown Point Bulldogs will be looking to close out with a couple of twins. Maybe ending their Crown Point careers with a couple state titles, trying to get a ring on every finger, it seems like.
Yeah. So next quarter bracket, Juan Cruz Bluffton, undefeated. Coming in undefeated, wins semi-state. Pretty solid semi-state. And you run into Aramis McNutt, who took his first 2 losses Saturday and has a state medal.
Yep.
And then Justin Brown, the first heavyweight state qualifier for Floyd Central, and Jose Smith, of another guy with a state medal. So that should be a good one. Did they wrestle earlier in the year? I'm gonna have to check. Go ahead, Mike.
Justin Brown. I think they did. Aramis McNutt, AC. That guy's he's having a lot of fun out there. I would say there's not as many people having as much fun as he is. He's all over the mat. He's real nice. Dude, super nice kid. So if you go up, if you want to go, you see him, you want to talk to him, I think he'll talk your ear off. Like he is like having a really good time. Juan Cruz undefeated. I think he lost at the ticket round last year, right? So
yeah,
congratulations on making it there. That'd be a good one Friday night. I don't know if that's the draw you want if you're a champ. A guy that was a state medalist last year, super explosive, really strong. Him and Jose, and I'm not saying this is a pick, but like just on rankings, him and Jose Smith could be a really exciting match because both of those guys are pretty explosive athletes that like to, shoot like they're probably 132 pounders.
Yeah, it was a 6 match last time, so that's a pretty good.
Aramis and Jose Smith.
What? Yeah, Brown and Smith. Oh, sorry, Brown and Smith. So you're talking to McNutt, right?
Yeah, McNutt and Smith, I think, could be like a pretty explosive match where those guys are getting after it. Today's the anniversary of Ricky Clark, Robert Samuel, so shout out to those guys, 285. Probably one of the best heavyweight matches we got to see at the state finals.
Yes, very much so. But yeah, Cruz is having a real good year. He looked really good at Fort Wayne in a pretty solid weight class. And you're hoping as a semi-state champ you get a better draw than a returning state medalist who isn't going to be wrestling in a happy mood after taking his first 2 losses.
I don't know if that's true, man. That dude's always happy. He's incredibly happy just to be out there wrestling.
Nice. So, last half bracket, Austin Hastings from Noblesville, the Miller Boom. Hayden Smith, Heritage Hills, Anthony Popey, and Ethan Dodson. Did they wrestle? I do not know if they wrestled or not.
At the Al Smith. I can confirm Anthony Popey does have the mustache back. Mustache full effect.
Popey won 5-3. So, obviously the higher ranking probably, but yes. So that should be interesting. The Hastings Hayden Smith should be a good match. Hastings was a qualifier at 220, decided to lift some weights. Dotson's going to Air Force Academy to play football. He's a big kid, so
he's a big boy.
Yeah, should be an interesting quarter.
What do they call Popey? They call him like the Mexican horse or something. He puts it on his Al Smith final sheet all the time, and I'm like, I don't know if I should say this, guys, but I just said on the show. So Some man, there was.
It's a
I think I
something.
told you before.
It's a something
In the
horse.
finals, huh?
It's a something horse. The
I thought, but in the finals of the Al Smith one, or not finals of Al Smith, in the finals of the Harvest Classic one time, there was a kid from Illinois. He was a state runner-up, real big black kid. And on his final sheet, it says, Joe Caprino. That wasn't his name, obviously. And like on it says, he loves fried chicken. And I'm like, there's 0% chance I'm going to say that over this mic right now. Like, they're like, just say it, man. It'd be funny. I'm thinking like, funny for you, not funny for me. So
I'll hand you the mic and then you can say that.
Yeah. Hope he's wrestling really well. Looked good at East Chicago. Dotson's huge. I know the general was pushing him early on, and I was like, oh, man, let me see him. He's like, he was hurt last year, and he's going to make a run, and had a really good Al Smith, and I was just like shocked how big of a kid he is. Hastings wrestling real well, won the semi-state, and Hayden Smith, a sophomore. I think there's 2 sophomores on the field, right?
Yeah, him and
Isaiah
3
sophomore. Yeah, so
and actually 3 and Hartle Road.
Yeah, a little pre-ranking, so he can do himself a favor, maybe be a preseason number 1 next year if some of these guys are underclassmen.
Yep. So then next quarter bracket, Isaiah Kuhlman, speaking of a sophomore from Leo, having a real good year. One of 8 kids. He will wrestle Brady Beck. I think there's only a couple brothers there. Not quite 8. Then Nate Johnson, the best mullet in the state, Center Grove, and then Max Amberger. We had a real good story on him from Batesville. Last time they had a qualifier was 1993. I was.
What was the number? Go ahead.
I was in 8th grade.
What do you think the number 1 song in 1993, February 1993 is?
Cyndi Lauper.
No, that'd be the 80s, man.
I have no clue.
Number 1 song, February 1983. Let's see what it is.
The suspense.
Oh, I put 83. I didn't put 93.
Oh,
sorry. You said 93, right?
Yeah, 93.
Sorry.
Take 2.
I Will Always Love You, Whitney Houston. Oh, that's a banger, though.
Yeah, yes, it is. And it's perfect for today.
Yeah. I mean, so not a bad one there.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Matt Amberger. He was on the watch list. That's a tough one. Nate Johnson, Friday night, 23-1, only lost to Paul Clark. He doesn't get paid by the hour. He's out there, trying to get big bonus points for the Center Grove Trojans. Like you said, pretty luxurious mullet. Beck looked really good at East Chicago. Had a really good match with Clark. Had a really good match in the ticker out with Colin Foy of Hanover Central. Beat McNutt in the semis. That'd be an interesting one. Little former Fort Wayne on Fort Wayne, huh?
Yeah.
That could have been a ticket around at Fort Wayne. Now it's a Friday night matchup. So congratulations to Isaiah Kuhlman. But, you get a guy that you're kind of familiar with.
Yeah.
I was impressed with Beck. I thought Rochester wrestled really well at East Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that should be good. I mean, obviously I watched the Beck and Johnson match could be really good. So we have 2 weeks to go.
I had all 4 from the East Chicago semi-state and the semis there. I might have to change that up when I actually do my pick'ems.
Yeah, we don't have Dustin calling us out on our picks today. So
I told someone asked me, were you guys actually doing picks? And then I gotta go back and listen to it. And I stopped doing that a long time ago because people would give me the business.
Yeah.
I'm not always trying to tell everybody what I'm actually picking on here, but people take that to heart too much.
Yes.
Like in your face. Like, oh man.
Yeah. I had one of those one year and I'm like, I didn't do the rankings, but thank you. I guess he was getting, and then they sent me a message like, we were just a little fired up. Kid qualified. That's fine.
But so. you get, sometimes you get to take credit for that.
Yeah.
I take credit for building the site sometimes. Coding, X497943. No.
It's all 1s and 0s. So, 113. Aiden Bollinger from Delta, undefeated. Gavin Ash, Monrovia. That should be a good one. Mario Aruda, Lake Central, and Braden Voles from Eastern Hancock, a pretty good freshman. So that's gonna be a good quarter bracket. I know Voles wasn't ranked and probably was a little bit of an oversight, but it's also the
Yep.
Eastern Hancock. We don't get a lot of information from there.
Which is crazy because I really do like it. I thought his brother wrestled really well all season.
Yeah.
Not ranked in the semi-state or state, right? He was not ranked in the semi-state.
I do not believe so.
Congratulations to Braden Volts, man, proving us wrong. And his brother told us in an article that we actually featured that he was wrestling really well, and we still didn't do it. What a couple of knuckleheads.
Yes.
34-2, having a really good freshman year. Mario Ueda,
Right.
I've known his dad forever. His dad was actually one of the officers that used to be at our high school. So he's a good dude, real good dude. Mario, I've worked with him a little bit, not when he's on break. He's real good friends with the guy that owned our company. Mario, a really cool story. I think he stepped away from wrestling for a little bit. I think just kind of burnt out and wasn't maybe getting the results. I believe he was in the lineup last year, but just tough little guys in that room over there with Mason and Johnny Cortez coming through. And has been wrestling really well to close the year out. I took a little bit of time on Saturday to kind of tell him, that he's just been killing it, man. Throw the rankings out the window. And I think he was disappointed in his semis match with Harper. He felt like he kind of, wrestled him a little bit scared and, went out there and went at it. But in the third and fourth place match. But I think that's really cool to hear those parts of the story. And I know, I think talking with the Brownsburg guys, Parker Reynolds is going to have a similar story coming out. It's not all about the recovery from his injury, but the mental part of how hard it is to come back from that injury. Mm-hmm. And it's just a grind. I think that's what we kind of forget where, obviously we love wrestling. We love Indiana wrestling. I think we tend to forget that these are kids, and they do take this really serious, and I'm happy for Mario. And I know he put a lot of work in, I believe at Elite with Coach English this summer, and really turned the corner. And like I said, LC always has a couple guys that, they bring there and they end up making a run. Like a guy, that has, 5+ losses. And when you do that consistently year in and year out, I think you start to build that confidence in those guys.
Yep.
Aiden Bollinger back. I know that's Rex Brewer's pick to click every year. He liked to tell me last year how I overlooked Aiden Bollinger. I think he was still 4th last year. But he's really good, undefeated for Delta Junior, returning state semifinalist. Gavin Ash, he draw Friday night. Did they wrestle each other at Mooresville?
Did they? I will check. I have it right up here.
I would think so. Bollinger's really tough, man. Delta probably has one of a really good lighter room.
No, he lost to Brennan Leonard in the semis.
Brennan Leonard, kind of a tough draw for Brennan Leonard. But, Kevin right there did work all summer, man. I'm really happy for him. I think he's had a really good season, Mario. But Aiden Bollinger is really tough, man. Part of that 1-2 combination off the bat, 2 undefeated wrestlers for Coach account, the Delta Eagles.
Yep. Going down, you got Revan Dickman, Brownsburg, having a real good year. Has not lost to an Indiana wrestler yet. Carrington Cooper, New Haven, having a real good senior year. Not exactly where you want to be put, but he'll compete. And then Nathan Reyes, Brady Harper, rematch from the Al Smith, and that was won by Harper 5-4. So I know we've mentioned that Cathedral, Coach McGinley's 3 wins away from having 100 state placers, and I think he has enough guys, and this is one that you're kind of circling. You're 12-13, and it could be very interesting to see what happens here.
Yeah. Let me start the bottom part. Yeah. Reyes and Harper. Harper dropped a little bit in the rankings. He took a loss at his conference, which kind of dropped him down. But a really tough freshman. He's really, really good on defense. He doesn't give up a lot of points. I believe it was 1-0 with him and Lewis at the semi-state. But real solid. That'd be a really good Friday night matchup. Man, Coach Harper puts the miles in, man. I don't know if he gets how many steps he gets in a tournament, but man, he was crawling all over me to get past me. He doesn't like to go in front of the tables. I was sitting on the spot where I do announcer, grabbing on my shoulder, bro, I can get up, man. But he's constantly on the move. That'll be a good one. The winner of that gets Dickman, possibly. I don't want everyone to put anything past it. Carrington Cooper's wrestling well. I think we said on the Fort Wayne show, going from 20 to 13 for him. If you're a 4, it's never good to be a 4, but that's not the one you want, right?
Yeah.
Guys, nationally ranked like 113, never lost in Indiana. He's kind of good in all positions. He looks comfortable in all positions. Really good on top. Really good on his feet. Wears polo, so he's putting in work.
Yeah.
Like he's going there for business. It's business casual. He's not showing up in a suit, but he's really good. So I'm sure if you're Kansas Cooper, that's the one you want. Dickman and the winner of Harper Reyes, that could be an interesting match. Both those guys pretty solid. But Dickman's had a phenomenal career so far. I think I try to give his mom a compliment on like, hey, he's really good. She's like, he's okay. I'm like, all right, man, he's all right. Like on one of the posts. But so that'll be a good one. That's a good top quarter bracket. That was the same possible semis as last year with Bollinger and Dickman.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they were giving me the business, and I think I picked Dickman for a title in my pick'ems last year. I threw rankings out the window there. And sometimes rankings aren't what I'm going to pick, just a reflection of what they've done in the season.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So going down last half bracket, Braden Getz, Roncalli, Beck Doherty from Rensselaer Central, Caleb Schaefer, Evansville Mater Dei, and Jalen Sawyer May of Kokomo. May has a state medal. Getz having a real good sophomore year. So
yeah, Getz real solid. Won the semi-state out at Newcastle, 38-3. Another team with a really lot of good little guys, right?
Yeah.
Shetley and Getz. Beck Doherty qualified at out of East Chicago. Really good run for him. Beck's looking pretty well, 44-7. That's a lot of matches. 51 matches. That's a ton.
Yeah.
And then Schaefer having a really good freshman year. That'll be a good one Friday night. Senior versus freshman. May. I mean, you kind of said that May got hit for a stall in was it the finals of semi-state?
Yeah, finals. It was the Brandon Wright came in an Epper debacle where they're putting legs in, standing up, and someone, it's just I don't know, the right thing. I don't know if I talked about it earlier, or on the show, but it's just one of those calls where it's like, I don't know. I don't know what the right call should be, but it was just like, I don't want a kid to win a match or lose a match this way. That as now that I'm not coaching, I want matches to be less controversial. I don't want it to be like, well, he did that and then he ended up giving up the stall point, and it was just not a good way to win or lose the match. So and it was a good match. Just as Ryan Keene says, he had him on the ropes, and I was like, oh man, he was real close to riding him out. I mean, there was probably 30 seconds left when he got the escape and then the stall call. So that was a double. So you probably should have just let him up and tried to go on their feet. But yeah, he had a real good day. Beat Levi Johns in the ticket round, and then giving Bollinger everything he could handle. So that should be a good one. Schaefer beat Getz earlier in the year, so that could be interesting if Schaefer makes it through, or May, whoever. But there's some rematches lurking in that quarter bracket.
Well, and I really did think like that could be a really cool. I really do believe that there's gonna be a ton of modern day people there. I mean, that's not me, pumping it up any type of way, but I mean, you go there, it could be like 90% modern day, or no, I want to say 90. That's too much, right? There could be a huge contingent of modern day and a close match. Schaefer's really tough. If that's a close match, I mean, like we said, the energy can go the other way and start swaying some of the momentum.
Yep. Going down last quarter bracket. This one's salty. Again.
Oh yeah.
Caleb Salazar Wallacey making his second trip. Nate Rio making his second trip. Returning runner-up. Gavin Lewis from Crown Point, semi-state champ, and then Sully Frazier from Zionsville. So that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, we said it a little bit earlier. We didn't get to see Gavin Lewis, or not Gavin Lewis, but Sully Frazier at the Al Smith. Lewis wrestled really well. 5 losses, 4 out of state, like 2 at Ironman, 1 at Carnahan, and 1 to Justin Williamson in the Mount Carmel Crown Point duel, and then 1 to Dickman, which was 2-1, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. And Rio I think all of his losses in his career to Dickman, or close to all of his losses in his career to Dickman. That'll be an interesting one. Possibly Saturday morning. I mean, Caleb Salazar is really solid. Senior, 40-4. I don't think the bulk of his losses came at the Al Smith. I think he lost 3 at the Al Smith and 1 at the semi-state.
Yeah.
Real solid. High motor, but man, that's a tough one. Again, like if you're at 3, that's probably not what you want to see with Nate Rio. I think they're gonna have to do a contenders meeting where they're not gonna be in the same weight next year. I hope.
Yeah.
But,
yes.
But you never know. I mean, it's just part of it. I mean, that's kind of the way it goes. Those guys probably train together a lot, and that's probably also why they're so good. Yeah. But Lewis is a big 13. Has some big moves. Had a really good middle school career coming in. I know that you're wrestling with an entire team right now. Like you got an entire squad every day at practice. But man, you're gonna be out there. How many times do you see Brownsburg cheering for Avon? You know,
yeah.
Like they might be on the edge of their seat hoping that Nate Rio takes out Gavin Lewis so they can be in the team race.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be huge team points, but I think that's going to be a real good Saturday morning match. But again, I don't know how much Nate Rio's pulling. Off the scale, that's a little bit tougher. But I think Lewis has done a better job of managing the weight cut this year. I think he won middle school state last year, like 126.
Jeez. So, yeah. Our last weight. Saving the best for last. This actually might be one of the just more nasty weights overall. 215. It's as I said the other day, I started looking at these. I'm like, ooh, oh man. This is one of those weights. Caden Brewer won semi-state, put himself in a real good position. Preston Duffy of Manchester having a good senior year. Cole Chicoine, McCutcheon versus Wyatt Woodall. Chicoine returning runner-up, and Wyatt Woodall was a qualifier last year, so got a little bit of spice. It gets a little bit better as we go on.
Yeah, a couple things, man. We kind of talked about it like we were talking about fours because we were talking about Alex Deming and was like, man, like you could hit this guy. And we kind of looked at Newcastle and East Chicago. It was like, ooh, if those guys hit each other, you're gonna have a lot of Friday night medals. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened. I mean, I didn't get to see the brackets. Like obviously Joe got to see them early, but I think there was a little bit of like, hey, what we said about 215, that's happening. I'm like, oh man, and I'm like, that's rough. Brewer did himself a really good spot. I mean, qualifier last year, bulked up, put in. I know, like last year at the state finals, I said, hey, he's gonna be 215. He looks like he's a full 215. Put himself in a really good spot, winning the Evansville semi-state, which Dustin has told me several times it is the best semi-state. Allegedly. I don't know if I believe it, but I know there's a lot of people that do.
Allegedly. It's a top 4 one at least.
But Brewer, Duffy Friday night. Duffy had a really nice win over Cameron Kaufman right after Al Smith when I was super impressed. Cameron Kaufman, I think, jumped into the top 10, and then Duffy beat him like the next week. So shout out to him. He was on the watch list, not in the rankings. Cole Chicoine, once beaten senior, and Wyatt Woodall, once beaten senior. Chicoine looked really good at East Chicago. He's had a really good season, and sometimes you're like, oh man, like but Clark's there, and Clark pinned him last year in the finals, right? Yes. He jumped levels, like he's really good, and I give all the credit to Brandon Barton. No, Chuck Cole. They said he works incredibly hard. Will had to like kind of dig deep and get that dub, but it was a lot closer. And Chicoine moves really well. He's a big, strong kid. He's a good motor. If you're conditioning suspect, he's gonna find it. And he's strong, and he's got a really good outside single, and he's pretty good at taking guys down. Yeah, so that should be a good Friday night match. And then we got Travis Hankey from Northridge, won a pretty solid semi-state. Parker Hart, Heritage Hills. Brandon Johnson, Lawrence North, who has a state medal. Jaden Bartozek, who was a state qualifier last year, and that's a pretty good match there too. So Hankey looks. Hankey's a pretty well built kid. Looks really good,
and he only has one loss on the year. Parker Hart, I was gonna say Heritage Hills. I was actually talking to my boss at work, and we were talking a little bit about wrestling and stuff, and I was like, yeah, it's amazing. Heritage Hills, the back half of their lineup is pretty loaded, and they also went to state in football. And it's amazing that all these guys play football. It's ironic, but so that's pretty cool to see. You know, Heritage Hills probably gonna have another pretty good football season because I think all those guys are young. So
yeah, the fighting Jay Cutler's, right?
Yes, actually, the fighting Goldsberry's. Goldsberry's the one that actually, I guess Cutler had a little bit longer career, right?
Yeah, he did all right, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Jay Cutler. I think Jay Cutler's pretty funny too.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Bartoszek had a really good semifinal match with Deming. I think he won a pretty tough ticket round to even get there. Johnson's really good. He was one of the guys last year leaving the state finals. I was really impressed with.
Mm-hmm.
He probably has a pretty tough time in the room every day, unless he's whooping those coaches. And then if he is. Good for him, right? He's got some good coaches that he's wrestling every day.
If he gets one, he's got to get both of them. He has to. I mean, if you're a big guy in that room and you're not getting better, there's something wrong. I mean,
yeah, I think when you're that, when you're probably looking forward to wrestling, high school kids that are at the state finals because you got two Division I coaches that are your size that move probably like they're like 150 pounders, like every day grinding on you. Probably not the best, but I think that'll be a good Friday night match. Johnson's really tough. Parker Hart, Travis Hankey, two underclassmen, two juniors coming back next year. Hankey had a really solid year. Who was his one loss to?
Yeah, someone you already mentioned, Cameron Kaufman.
Cameron Kaufman.
6. That was late in January.
Cameron Kaufman, so he's out of the tournament now. He had
he did beat Poppy 1-0 earlier in the season too.
Popey. And I mean, good for him jumping around in Northridge, and Northridge get him those tough matches to get him prepared. And it looked like a showdown at semi-state.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good Friday night matchup. You talked about Goldsberry, the little Goldsberry that got put out already in the semi-state, but like you said, man, a lot of those guys are coming back. Like they're going to be there next year. They're going to be there in football. So I think they have a pretty solid thing. The only thing that always worries me with like teams like that is there's not a lot of buffer room up top.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you can't just bump one more heavyweight weight. So like all those guys got to stay similar weights, and I think some of those guys are pretty big.
Yeah, and I'm sure they like the weight room.
Yeah.
So now we're getting a little more fun here. Will Clark, returning third place finisher, or returning champ, sorry.
Returning state champion,
yes.
sir.
Yes, I don't know why I was thinking he was Paul Clark for a second. Devin Kendricks, returning state placer. Aiden Beatles from South Putnam, and Keegan Martin. So that we could have a rematch of the Al Smith finals. Or, there. Beatles was the Indianapolis Colts man of the year, which is kind of like based on academics and athletics and a bunch of stuff together. So not only is he a pretty good wrestler, but he's also a pretty good kid. So shout out to that. For that. And his reward is returning state qualifier Keegan Martin.
Like I said, I'm not gonna lie. I did not have Aiden Beatles on the watch list. I did not know he was the Colts Man of the Year, even when I was doing that. That would have got him on the watch list also.
Yes.
And that's really cool, man. So, like you said, shout out to him. Getting it done in the classroom, the community, and in the athletic form is really cool. He had a tough one. Keegan Martin put a lot of work in this summer. He got a lot better. He was state qualifier last year, won IPO this year, right? IPO champ.
Yeah.
Al Smith runner-up. 3 of the 4 in this weight. This quarter bracket right here, we're at the Al Smith. You got Kendricks and Will Clark. Kendricks wrestles a pretty unique style for that. I always think he's going to end up a weight class down.
Yeah, he was real light at Al Smith. He was real light.
Yeah.
It was like one of those things we get to see those weigh-in sheets, or it's actually, I think they put it in track, and it's like, you kind of, you see some guys, because you hear guys are cut, going to be dropping down, and then when you see, sometimes we do get, we'll tell a coach, hey, we're hearing you, so and so is dropping down. Can you forward me a weigh-in sheet next week when you guys see them? And like, oh yeah, sure. And then so we saw that, I'm like, he might be going down, but yeah, he was only He was within 10 pounds, I think.
Yeah, I thought he was 97. I thought he was really close.
That's what I was want to say. I didn't want to, but yeah. So it was like one
And
of those things. He probably wishes he would have gone down to 90 now.
well, he'll come back, and he's got a medal already. I think he was a qualifier as a freshman, right?
Yeah.
And I think college-wise, he's more of a 97 college build, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to be – I don't think he'll be a heavyweight.
He's 97 or 84. He's not a heavy – yeah, like you said, not a heavyweight. So that could be – yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, obviously he's going to – this is his third trip to state. He's going to be looking to make 4 trips, which is very rare at upper weights like that. And, yeah, that should be – I mean, that's going to be a great match anyway. He's going to give he's hard to wrestle. He's short, stocky, low to the ground. So
he has a real good high C. Clark's a beast, man. And I watched him gut out a couple wins this year. I think it speaks to the competitor that he is. I know we talked about that at Al Smith with Jackson Weigart. I talked about in the semis with Chicoine. I know like he had like a week of practicing going to Ironman, and he went out there still placed. Dude's got a big heart, man. I think Crown Points has some really good leaders in that room, and he's one of them. I think they're going to be pretty sad to see those two kind of wrap up their Crown Point careers, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Then going down the last quarter bracket, Julante Hinton took his first loss in the semis. Landon Terry, Tell City, Jackson Weingart, who has a state medal 2 years ago, and Alex Deming from Rochester has a state medal from last year. So you got 2 medalists. I mean, we had 2. Let's see, 2-1 or no. No, there's
medalist qualifier, flipped.
Yeah.
Chicoine is a medalist. Woodall was a qualifier. Johnson was a medalist. Bartosik was a qualifier. Martin medalist and with Clark.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just a crazy amount of guys with medals and state experience and returning to 215, 220. So Weingart and Deming, that's gonna be a good one. So yeah.
Yeah, Landon Terry and Jonathan Hinton's going to be a really good Friday night match. I think Landon Terry, almost all of his losses are to Brewer, right? Yes. A good amount of them. Brewer's kind of had his number.
Parker Hart. Let's see. Parker Hart won. Tyson Rui from Jasper, and then
not as many.
And then Caden.
So Hinton, pretty exciting, man. He's a pretty exciting wrestler. Not afraid to go big moves with you. That'll be a real interesting Friday night match. Hinton got a medal last year. Weingart beat Hinton Friday night 2 years ago, right? That was like his win.
Yeah.
So that's so he beat Friday night. Deming and Weingart's gonna be Weingart's really difficult to wrestle. Like kind of long. He looks like he's really really strong. I know someone posted in here. Ken Joel put it in here. Man, Weingart, Clark again. That was an awesome match at the Al Smith.
Yes.
I know you posted a picture. Both those dudes were exhausted at the end. Clark had to come from behind, probably the first time he's really been tested, maybe like in 2 years there. And like I said, gutted it out. But I'm sure Hinton and Weingart's gonna. If that's Saturday morning, that could be fireworks too.
Yeah. Weingart likes to. He's a freak athlete. I mean, him and Deming both really good football players, so that could be a good one. And that's gonna be. It's gonna be an interesting Friday morning match. That's for sure.
Yeah. Weingart and Deming really good too. I was the first time I got to see him this year. He's a pretty thick kid, man. He's pretty well put together. I thought he was gonna be a taller, skinnier guy. His dad does some photos, and his dad's a taller dude. He's a little bit more stocky, but shout out to his dad for putting together some good photos, man.
Yes,
he does a really good
photos job. And been using them in some of the graphics and stuff. So, we are done. A little bit shorter. I gotta get it packed tonight. I know that. So I'm leaving early tomorrow. Actually, about noonish tomorrow. Actually, a little bit earlier than that, but yeah, it should be. I'm sure a lot of people are leaving. Usually get down Friday morning, but we're gonna get down there because we have a big party to attend. So that should be
big
fun.
shindig. Hopefully we can get a lot of people out there, man, and have a good show. And I think that's really cool, man. Meeting people from the site or people that are in the chat here. I always tell Joe, I think one of the coolest things that we have is we have a really good group of people that log in every week and are in the comments, and that's probably one of my favorite things about doing the show, honestly. And if someone was missing out of the comments, whether if Eric Spikes wasn't on, I'd message him and be like, hey bro, what's going on, man? You weren't in the I'd be sad, honestly, because I think it's what kind of makes the show really cool, and it's part of the reason we don't do as much scripting maybe as other things, because it's cool to see what people are doing and we kind of go with the flow. And sometimes Eric Thomas tries to get me off track like that, asking about soap and stuff, but we love it, man. It's really cool. Yeah. And get some people from the board maybe out there, and then you can kind of get the faces behind some of the posts, But man, that guy's pretty crazy. He's not as crazy in real life. But I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I know Rex Brewer sent me a whole list of places to eat. I'm not as familiar with the Evansville. Obviously, the Indy, we've been going there for years, so you kind of have it mapped out of where you want to go and what you're going to do. And I don't know geographically how close everything is to the stadium or anything like that. I don't really know where everyone's going to be at. I don't know the hotel layout or anything. So yeah, I know they sent me River City Pizza Guide. I'm probably not going to get pizza when I'm there because I live too close to Chicago, the best pizza in the world. Yeah. They said there's a best hot dog place. I'm going to send it to my guy, Chris Bone Sr. He did the hot dog review for East Chicago. I did not have an East Chicago hot dog. I had some tacos in the hospitality room. It was pretty good. But he trashed them, bro. He did not give them a good review.
No, he was not. He was
he was salty on those. I know they have a hot dog review. So I guess they sent this list to Rex, and I know they've been pretty. Rex and Dan have done a really good job of getting some people from the Evansville, kind of hosting there. Second language. This is a long list, man. I don't know. I'm not going to read every single one of them. But Chasers is on there. So 2131 West Franklin Street. Man, the food on the picture looks pretty good.
I know.
But
I don't know. We're technically we're starting around 8, but I'm guessing we'll get over there a little earlier. Might just have some dinner there. Looks food. I'm on the website right now. It looks pretty good. So they even have breakfast there. So
we're gonna have breakfast for dinner.
Yeah.
I know some people are talking about where to get steaks. I'm sure Hook and Half knows some places. I know he's always said Gerst House. When I was in Evansville, we went there. I think my family's from Germany. We have some German heritage. I tried some of the German stuff. It was good, man. It's really old. It's pretty neat. The food that we had there was cool. We had 12-year-old softball girls with us. They weren't as impressed. I think they were more looking for chicken nuggets. They did not have that there. But I'm excited, man. I think it's going to be a really cool event. I think it sounds like they're going to do a really good job. We've been saying that over and over. But man, how fast did the season go? I feel like we just released the preseason mag.
I know. It went fast. It kind of went slow the first couple of weeks, and you're trying to, man, we don't have much to talk about. Now it's crap. We're at the end of the season. We got to get do some Mr. Gorilla voting and stuff. Talk about that next week, and so yeah.
Yeah. And it seems like everybody's ready to be you can feel the anticipation building, right? You feel on the board, people are getting more excited. There's more things that people are grinding their gears. We're gonna give you the mic. If you have something you want to say that really upsets you, all the rankers are gonna be in there. If you're the Bulls family and you feel like Howie didn't do a good job, we're gonna hand you the mic and you can go at him. But remember, he's also the police, so
yeah. Howie has a double-edged sword there.
We're gonna get Kenny Harden to do some wings at the IndianaMat booth during the Fan Fest.
Yeah. We're gonna bring him a grill
I think Comfort on Main Street's really good. Ashley Bateman said. I think Franklin Street's gonna be popping, man. I think we're gonna be out and about, I'm sure. One of the cooler things, back in the day, and I don't know if people really know this, I've never coached. I coached middle school, right out of high school. But since we've been doing this side, I've never did any kind of coaching. I used to go to rolling with Calumet a little bit, but honestly, for me, it's always just been an event, and I was able to do whatever I wanted all the time, right? hey, if I want to come in late, I can come in late. I want to stay out to 4 a.m. I can do whatever I want. And there's been times that's happened, and Joe's seen it. And now that Joe's not coaching, it just adds a different dynamic to the thing. And IndianaMat's a really cool thing, man. We love seeing you guys, and we love, there'll be people that's watched the shows that's not in the chat, and they'll be like, man, we love the show, man. We watch all the time. Can we get a picture with you? And it's like, dude, this is crazy.
Yes.
Like, I think like the first time that ever really hit me, cause I remember when you pitched it to me, we used to do Google Hangouts, right?
Yeah.
And you were like, let's go. It was you, I, and Nick, and you were like, hey, let's do these shows. And I remember thinking like, no one's going to watch this. Like, no one wants to see us talking about wrestling. No one wants to hear about the rankings like that. They just want to go look at them. And we were in Indy, and it was on lunch break, and we were like right there by what's the sandwich place, the Philadelphia sandwich place, like right on the corner right there. And dude, like everyone was coming up telling us they loved the show and what we were saying, and it was like one of those times you're like, holy smokes, man, people actually like are watching this and they really like it. Yeah. And it's just really grown from that. And dude, we love the people that we interact with. We love the people. We love the fans. It's crazy that people recognize my voice enough that when I was on the mic at East Chicago, like, that's the dude from Guerrilla Radio.
That's awesome. Yeah, we have some really, number one, very passionate fans, which is cool. That's what makes our site so much fun, is they're very passionate. And we also, it's very knowledgeable, and I want to take a little bit of credit for that, but they also want to be knowledgeable about our history and stuff, and everything going on. They know those wins and stuff. Obviously, it's a little bit easier to find that stuff, but yeah, we have some great fans, and we want to cheer for everybody. Unfortunately, only one kid's going to be a state champion this weekend at each weight. So it's one of those things that we enjoy hanging out with the people, and it's actually kind of fun to go like the Iron Man and stuff, and I just get to sit there and hang out. I'm doing a little bit of content and stuff, but more than anything, just hanging out and watching some great wrestling, and and it's a lot of fun to be able to do stuff like that. So we definitely have a pretty cool thing going here, and going to continue. We're going to have some fun this weekend, especially at a new place, and we'll see how things go. Maybe we'll set up a speaker outside Gamebridge next year and do a pre-show and do whatever we need to do. So,
man, I always felt like we missed the boat on that one. The year we had Chad Red and Nick Lee, I was like, we should be outside just doing like cheap IndianaMat shirts. Like, who are you going for? Are you going for red, or are you going for the red and gold shirts?
Yeah.
And I always think that's cool. Like, when one of the coolest things, dude, and it's like mind blowing to me, is like when I'm out, and I'll just be out because the region's pretty close, and we're a very tight community, like location wise. We're not like far away. Like, and you see like an IndianaMat shirt, you're like, ooh, it's like, I see an IndianaMat guy, let's go.
Yeah.
And I've seen him at games. You see him on the internet sometimes. Like, I know Darren Elkins have worn him in training and stuff like that. Yeah. Guys at the Olympic Training Center, and it's really cool to see where the site's been, and I think it's going to be a great weekend.
Yeah.
If it's not a great weekend, it's because you're looking at it negatively. Like, make sure, like, yeah, the drive sucks for everybody except for if you live in Evansville, I guess. But like, I'm looking forward to see like how they handle it. And it sounds like it's going to be really cool.
Yep, they're gonna have fun with it, and hope everyone has a great weekend, safe drive. It's gonna be fun. I mean, it's a new venue. We're gonna be on top of each other, so it's gonna be even more fun. So make sure you take your deodorant. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Make sure you use an antibacterial soap to wash up, kills the bacteria that makes smells, and then wear deodorant.
Yes, that's all I'm asking. And then we'll be at.
Is it tight? Is it tight like that?
I mean, it's just no. I mean, I'm sure it's probably the same type of seats as Gamebridge and stuff. It's just gonna be. I think it's a little bit closer, and there's not as many walk around areas. So, but we're gonna be in a special area. I'm not even sure. I think it's called the loge seating. So, you'll see.
Sounds like it has perks, though. It does sound like it has some perks.
Yes. So we'll see how that works out, and it is rumored to be cold there. I wonder if it will be as cold when you fill it with 9,000 people. So I'm sure that will help a little bit, but bring layers. I'm
gonna welcome the cold, like after East Chicago, because it was cooking in there.
So yeah, check that out.
I'm like my guy Joe Hansen at the Al Smith. He went fashion instead of function, man.
Yeah.
He had a vest and a hoodie, and I was like, bro, like it's gonna be hot in here. And halfway through, he came back and he couldn't take the t-shirt off because now you're sweating through your t-shirt. So no, it's gonna be good, man. If you don't like what we do, keep that to yourself, bro. If you love what we do, let us know.
Yes.
No, I can take it, man. If you want to talk trash a little bit, the more I'm off air, the little more colorful my speech gets. I think this. I'm nervous that this Chasers a live show is going to turn into a guerrilla radio off air, which is going to be fun for you guys because they'll get crazy. But it might not be as fun. It might not be as fun for me. So.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys for everything, and we will be back tomorrow night at Chasers Bar and Grill, 8 p.m.
Hopefully for a live studio audience.
Yeah, live studio audience. This will be our first one with a live. This will be our first one with a live studio audience. Man, that'll be fun. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. So. Okay, we are going to be out of here. We'll see you guys tomorrow night, hopefully. And if not, we'll see you this weekend. So take care.